This is a show about facing fear, unlocking courage, and taking action.
Courage isn't necessarily a daunting thing.
It's going to give you more purpose. It's going to give you more drive.
It feels like making a courageous decision is going to get you closer to who you aspire to be.
It's knowledge plus faith plus action equals courage.
That's how the universe works. The more you give, the more the universe gives you. If you want love, give love. If you want knowledge, teach others. If you want success, help others achieve their success. But this is the caveat. You can't give expecting anything in return.
You know, there are times along the journey that you meet other speakers or personalities that you just gain energy from. I do think there's three types of people in the world. There's people you gain energy from. There's the maintain energy people, which I don't think is a great place to be between you and me. And then there's the drain energy people where gravity wins. You're like, why do I have this person in my life? And my guest today, we've now probably, I think we met maybe 7 or 8 years ago. And I instantly, you're such an energy gain. I know I'm not just speaking for myself, right? And what I love most about Michelle Poehler is that she's not just talking about this stuff. Like you're living your premise, you're living your brand. You're just doing you and being you, and we gain energy because of it. So first of all, it's so good to see you. How are you?
Good. I'm excited to be here, finally.
I know. It's been a while. We've been trying to make this work. Are you still down in Florida?
Miami?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Miami?
Yeah.
But realistically, do you ever get to live there, or are you just on the road all the time?
No, I live here, yes. No, actually, when we moved here from New York, my husband told me, don't worry, you won't spend a lot of time in Miami. You'll be traveling so much. That was in March of 2020.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
You know what happened next? We never left Miami for 6 months. And I was like, I thought I was going to travel a lot. I don't know what happened. And then we got pregnant during the pandemic, and now just having a, big home over here and a baby. Well, everything already. He's 4 years old. He's not a baby anymore, but still. So I spent a lot of time here.
Boy or girl?
Boy, Noah.
Noah. We have a Noah in the family. My brother's son is Noah, and he is, you kind of need to bubble wrap the house because Noah's just bouncing around all the time, but he's so much fun. So how are you loving this new label of being a mom? Because you and I really haven't had a chance to chat.
Yeah, no, I'm loving it. For me, it's another way of living life to the fullest, being a mom, experiencing all of it. And when I do something, I commit. I'm very, very committed to whatever I do. I don't start a project and then move on to the next one. No, if I'm going to start a project, I'm going to fully commit to that project until it's something great. Otherwise, I don't even start anything. And it's the same with Noah. The day he was born, I'm like, okay, I am fully committed to motherhood and being very present and, just teaching him and learning from him also as much as I can. So it's been, for me, life-changing, but in the best way possible.
Yeah, I can't help but think of my own wife because she's an amazing mom and, always reminds me of no, we're learning from them. It's not the other way around. What's the lesson for us? And I have to imagine, I'm laughing because fully committed means, so you're not leaving Miami for another 14 years, till Noah goes to college.
No, I'm not saying that because Noah can come with us wherever we go. And even moving back to New York is always, for me, part of the plan. So who knows?
Do you feel from your background or just your philosophy, so I'll speak for myself first. I loved coming out of advertising. I love story. And I think there's telling and then there's showing. And showing is almost always for me, I over-index on the showing versus the telling. So one of the things I've tried to do so I have a 12-year-old and a 9-year-old is to show them, bring them with, that's my favorite part of learning is taking them with us and they're smart enough already to connect the dots, right? Is that what your thought is with Noah?
Of course, 100%. Like for me, and this has been a whole process because I am a speaker mom. It's not very usual, right? Moms, they maybe go to work from 9 to 5 and then they come back or they work from home or whatever. But I have to travel to make a living. And so it was really hard at the beginning because the guilt, the mom guilt is real. You don't want to leave them. Like, yes, I miss him. And at the same time, I feel so guilty. So it was like a mix of those that's not healthy. And one time I met with a mentor and he said, every time you leave, every time you travel to do what you're so passionate about, you're showing Noah that a life worth living, that you can pursue your passion and make a living out of that, is possible for him. Think about that every single time that you travel. And so for me, that was super powerful because I started seeing that from a different perspective. And it's how also I approach this when I talk to him. And I'm never like, oh, I'm sorry, I have to leave. I'm always like super excited in front of him because I am very excited. I'm like, I'm so excited. I'm going to, I don't know, California tomorrow. I'm going to be speaking in front of 1,000 people. I'm going to make them dance. I'm going to inspire them so much. They're going to be so brave after they hear me speak. And then I come back and I show him always like what happened on stage, how people dance, all of it. And also he comes with me to like maybe 35% of my engagements. So when he comes, he goes, he always watches me on stage. He comes to the AV check and goes on stage. And sometimes I allow him to dance with me on stage in front
I
of the
was gonna
crowd.
ask what percentage, like what time, how many times?
Well, we were doing that when he like mostly at the beginning, like from a year and a half to like 3 years. And then after 3 years, he has other ideas now because he's like, what if? And he gets creative. And he's like, one time he just stood there and I'm like, aren't you going to like join me? This is uncomfortable. And he's like, he wanted to see what happened if he didn't dance. And I'm like, okay. And then the next time my husband didn't bring him on stage and I'm like, what happened? Like I was expecting him and he also wanted to do it. And Adam's like, Michelle, he literally told me he wanted to do jujitsu on you and make you fall down on stage and see how that looks like. And I'm like, all right, maybe we'll wait a little bit until he matures.
Good job, Dad. Good job, Dad, not letting Noah on stage that day. Yeah, it's all little experiments, right? They're all little experiments, and I'll send you. I have my little weekly dose of courage that I try to put out every week, and it's definitely something where you're always trying to like look for the lessons. But I love the quote, like, I write so I can think what I know, and like this was one of those. I write so I can think what I know, and it was titled, "Dad, you were always gone," and the fear I have of, if I had a time machine and I can get in it and it's 10 years from now, and at some point they're gonna be like, Dad, you were always gone. And it's like both terrified to hear this truth, but also, wait a minute, like I'm so honored that, and I'm sure you feel the same way, like we get to just be ourselves and trying to design a life where I don't have to fake myself. Like this is me on Tuesday, on Saturday, on Thursday, on Friday, on Monday, 4 p.m., 10 p.m., 7 p.m. And so if the lesson is just, yes, but I just try to design a life where I get to inspire other people and be myself. I say we're fear fighters. We're corporate fear fighters. That's what we are. And I think that's where we're aligned too, right? Like your whole thing is hello fears. When you think back to like the journey that you've been on now, are you just as passionate about or just as curious about the concept of fear as when you started?
Actually, I feel like it's been an evolution. So at the beginning, when I started facing my fears, it was a lot about more typical, even physical fears that I could do. And when I thought about which fears I've been avoiding throughout my entire life, they were all very like physical fears. It started by like, oh, I've always avoided jumping from a high cliff into the water. I always avoided roller coasters or holding an animal, like any animal, tarantula, snake, even a cat, or eating this kind of food, like driving at night, getting a piercing, waxing, like things related to pain and things like that. And then when I finished the project after facing all those, let's say, physical fears, I started getting more interested in the the fears that you can't see and you can't touch are the ones that really limit people's potential. And that's because I started hearing conversations of people saying, I'm not afraid of heights or anything like that, but I'm deeply afraid of rejection. I'm afraid of failure. I'm afraid of being embarrassed and things like that. And I'm like, really? So that to me started being way more interesting. So immediately I moved on from all those physical fears and I started really like going deep into the emotional fears. And that's what like my whole talk is about, right? It's about choosing growth over comfort, and applying that to our personal lives, our success, our happiness mostly. Like, how do we become our happiest versions of ourselves by saying yes to growth, right? And those uncomfortable things that will get us closer to our own definition of success. That's has been my journey for the last like 10 years. But also, I started focusing a lot on one of the things I'm most passionate about, that is authenticity. And what I realized is that people, the only reason they don't get to explore who they are and show it to the world proudly is because of their fear. So when I started seeing that, I'm like, I need to teach personal branding, but starting from the bottom, the base of it all, which is courage. First, I need to make people like take down all those barriers of fear of failure and rejection. Then they need to start having the openness to see themselves as who they actually are, their most unfiltered version. Then they need to embrace who they are and like change the perspective on how they perceive themselves, like those negative things. Maybe they're not so negative. Maybe the things you don't like so much about yourself are also an important part of who you are. Because I feel like because I embrace myself fully, I'm able to put myself out there in a very authentic way and feel comfortable about it. So that's where I transitioned to personal branding. And now I'm taking it to another dimension completely. And I'm exploring leadership and abundant leadership, which is, completely, let's say, different, but it all starts with courage.
Yeah, to me, it feels like the original elements are still fear and holding up a mirror. And when I think about my favorite polarisms, if I can use that term, you deeply resonate with me because it's like, what's the worst that could happen? And you were the first I heard who flipped that. It's like, wait a minute, whoa, what's the best that could happen? Right? It's mindset, and then just this conversation about what you might not like about yourself that you've buried. One of the things I talked about early in my book writing journey was, oh, this is a negative blessing. Like, it's not a negative, it's a negative blessing. I am beyond grateful that these things happen. If this didn't happen, actually, I never would have moved to California. And if I never moved to California, I never would have met my wife, or I never would have become an entrepreneur. And so when you embrace your full story and you like start to look at it like, wow, this is a good thing, not a bad thing. I do think it gives people the courage or the key to move on and pass go. And so it's very cool to hear where your evolution has taken you. What has been something in this sort of new time around the board that you've studied that's like just gets you super energized?
I've been studying. So in the pandemic, I did this challenge. Let's call it a challenge. I did this challenge from Deepak Chopra called 21 Days of Abundance. And I started listening to what he was saying. And for me, it was like a huge aha moment every single day. Because what I realized is, wow, I didn't realize I was living such an abundant life. I never in my life thought about this term, even like abundance. I didn't know what it was. For me, abundance was more related to like money and material things. But he made me realize, Deepak, that you can live an abundance life just by being in alignment with the universe, like feeling that you have enough and that you will always have enough and that you have what it takes to achieve your goals. And this mindset, that is living an abundant life. And I was like, that's what I experienced. And he talks about, for example, the law of giving. And he says, if you want love, give love. If you want knowledge, teach others. If you want success, help others achieve their success. And I realized, wow, I've been like that for a long time already. Like every time I see someone that I can help, I just go out of my way and help them. If I have an advice, if I have a context that I can give this person, I'm never like thinking how this takes away from me. And I'm always thinking, how can I add value to anybody that crosses my path? And I was like, maybe that's why I feel I've been living a very fortunate life. And it's because I'm always giving and giving and giving. And I see a lot of people that tell me that, like, Michelle, how are you so generous? How are you so, abundant? I'm like, I don't know. Why isn't it anybody like the rest of the world like this? That's my thought. Like, this is easy. It's easy to give. It makes me feel good. I help other people. And then what I realized is that that's how the universe works. The more you give, the more the universe gives you. But this is the caveat. You can't give expecting anything in return. When you give expecting something, then you're trying to get something. But it's a matter of giving to the universe, knowing that you will always have enough and that the world needs your value. And then for me, this was like a huge aha moment. And I started studying abundance ever since. And I even added a chapter to my book, the Hello Fierce book. I added a new chapter to the paperback version called Hello Abundance, where I go into it. And now I'm applying that to leadership. So, because I became this, let's say, abundant leader, that I look around, I see that I have a very loyal community, very engaged, very loyal. They never want to leave the community, even in my team. And I'm like, what is causing these people to stay and to feel so loyal to this brand that I created? And just hearing from them, it's the that I don't know how to call it, but the fact that I just want to give them all the time, everything that I've got without holding anything back. I want to teach you everything I know. I want to give you all my contacts. I want to give you all the exposure I can. And that's what keeps people. And I'm like, wow, that's so interesting. And so I'm like, what if companies start to apply this philosophy of just really giving to their people, right? And giving abundantly. And so that's what I'm developing now, this whole new talk based on that.
Well, it's so fun, and it's a lot of head nods over here. And I'm wondering, what is your thought on, I mean, like, why wouldn't that happen, right? Like, why doesn't it happen? Well, fear, right? Like, somebody fears their livelihood. They fear they're going to mess up. They fear, I mean, the world is like as big or as small as your largest problem, right? So abundance, of course, is you've been able to go, hey, fear, like, you're not so scary. Right? Is there a direct relationship between these two words?
People, a lot of people feel that when somebody else gets something, it's like if they lost something. Like somebody else got promoted means I didn't. Somebody else got pregnant reminds you, oh, but I didn't. Or somebody gets married, oh, but I'm not married. Like if you look at life in that way, and then you think that everybody's wins is a loss, then you can't really give anybody what you have to give, because you're always thinking, if I give this and then they become successful, what does that mean? That I don't become successful? So, they're always thinking, how does this affect me negatively? How can you live like that? Like, again, going back to the question, what's the best that can happen if you inspire people just, selflessly, if you teach people everything and not keep anything to yourself? I think it's something from an older generation, maybe, that they told us, like, keep your secrets to yourself. I've heard this so many times. Don't expose yourself so much on social media. Don't show all your tricks on social media. Then people will copy you. Then people will get to your same, amount of success. And I'm like, I just know that I am me and that no one in this world is me. And I can give away everything I've got, and they can get successful by learning from me and all of that. But I will always be where I'm supposed to be. Like, and I'm fine with that.
So I'm drinking my, West Coast kid here. So I'm having my coffee this morning. Shock. But let's say this was, I was going to make a Michelle Polar cocktail right now. And I needed all the ingredients, right? And where this is coming from, I was like, she's so curious. Like, you stay focused on the right things. It's not fear. It's like curiosity that drives you in. I was like laughing when you said when you commit to something, you're in, and then you're like, so I did this 21-day abundance challenge. Like perfect example of that, right? So if I'm making this Michelle Polar cocktail right now, what ingredients are going in and what percentages? Just get me close.
Okay, so I think that the main ingredient you would need if you're making a cocktail about me would have to be authenticity. That's the main thing that if I die and people have to remember me for something, I really hope it's my authenticity. Like the fact that I'm always just trying to be me and like no matter what, no matter where, and no matter with who, like I will always be very like truthful to my values, to who I am and stick to that. I think that's the main thing.
All right. So no artificial flavors, no artificial flavors. It's all real. 100%
It's all
real.
real. It's
How
all
mu-
authentic. Yeah.
How much of my cocktail is that?
At
50%?
least 50% of that.
Okay. So we got started. What else?
Then I would say maybe 20% courage in there.
All right. Nice. Come on in here. Come on in.
Because I used to be very comfort and I replaced that with courage.
Nice.
And then also I would say like definitely abundance would have to be in there, that just wanting to like give and share and like that, like, yeah, just be an instrument, I guess, of the
All
world.
right. Sounds like I'm going to need a bigger cup. I mean, if we're talking about abundance here.
And then also for me, community is one of my values and one of the things that I care a lot about. So some community aspect in there and definitely transparency. That would be like the last ingredient, the cherry on top. And it's like everything you see here is as it is and mystery or, no fake things around it.
The community piece is really, it lands with me because I feel like we've come at this from, a lot of our stuff is corporate. And also my belief system is that I love your take on transparency. Like, I think the word friend has gotten a bad rap in corporate. Like, I just am trying to be the best friend I can be to my partners. But the higher up in organizations they get, the more lonely they feel. And is that because of fear? Is it because they don't feel they can share? And some of it you get, like to your point about, well, if I got something, that means someone else must not have gotten something. And like 1 minute you're at the same level with one of your best buddies, and then you come in and you get a promotion or they get a promotion or whatever it is. And the relationship changes, and it does. And so often our role has been to be, I just want to be the best friend I can be and like help you with blind spots or keep it real and be honest. And so I've now met so many people like this that want to be good and want to share, that should know each other. And community, if you're listening to the podcast, obviously I see you as part of this community, but I haven't really done anything live yet that brings the group together. Have you done any live events that have brought your community together? And were you afraid at first when you did this? And by the way, this is like a very selfish, because I'm curious about when's the right time to do this. And so I'm curious, like, how's that been for you?
Yeah. So I've been bringing my community together since the beginning, like since, I don't know, even in 2016, I don't know, when I started and all of it. If I would travel, let's say to Seattle for an event and someone from my community would say, oh, I'm from Seattle, would love to meet you, I would tell them, let's go for coffee. And I started doing that very often. And my husband was like, you have to stop it. Like, we really don't know these people. And yes, we met some amazing people and some that he's like, we just wasted 2 hours of our life. Like, you have to stop doing this. But then when I started speaking more and more, I started asking clients always if I could bring in 4 to 5 people from my community. So every time I would travel somewhere to speak, I would say, for example, tomorrow I'll be in San Diego speaking at 8 a.m. Let me know if you can make it, and I'll try to get you a ticket to come to my speech, even if I'm talking corporate for an event, like for a specific company. And then people would tell me, yes, yes, I can go there. People would travel even 2 hours and they would tell me, yes, I'm here, but they're like 2 hours away, but they would still make it. And events would normally allow me to bring my guests. So I would always bring random people from my community. That's how it started. Then I created my membership. And 2 years ago, créetelo, right here. And so I started being very exclusive about who can meet with me, and it has to be someone that is a member in my community. And so I continue traveling to speak, but what I do is I always meet them for dinner. So the day I speak, after my speech, I always make time. So I normally stay one more day wherever I go just to have dinner with my community. So for example, in Orlando, we have 40 people. So it was last week after my speech, I surprised them. Like I talked to the leaders in Orlando from my community, and I told them, and they're like, "We'll bring everybody to this sushi restaurant, and then you'll come as a surprise." And they were so surprised. It was amazing. But even if there are 5 people in Tampa where I'm going tomorrow, I'll just have dinner with 5 of them. In Miami, we have 240 people, and we meet every month. So we always have people in the community meet every month wherever they are. And the ones in Miami, I always try to go because they're amazing and I love meeting them. So by this point, I know everybody's names, what they do, what they're passionate about. So I'm very, very close to them. Other than that, we put one event together a year called Créetelo Con, like our convention. And we host from 200 to 400 people at that event where I'm the speaker. I bring other people on stage, and mostly the people from the community. I want to give them the stage so they teach all sorts of, topics, and it's really fun. It's a 2-day conference that is crazy where we party and we learn so much.
First of all, 2016 is when you started, so it's crazy that like we're kind of tiptoeing pretty close to a decade here. Like, can you believe it?
Yes, I did the 100-day project in 2015, so it is.
Oh, so we're here. So you're there already.
I am here. Yes, I want to do something to commemorate that.
Well, let's say we had a time machine, and we're going to use this time machine 2 different ways. So first, you had a chance to go back to meet 16-year-old version of yourself. What do you tell her? And where did you choose to meet her?
Wow, 16-year-old version of myself. Let me think of her. Michelle, with 16 years old, she was so afraid of life. She was so afraid of everything that.
Living where?
She was in Venezuela. So
Okay.
living in Venezuela and just having a very normal teenage life with, even though, yes, I had a lot of fears, I still had like a really nice life with a lot of friends, a boyfriend, regular activities, like a lot of passion for art as always. And like I had a lot of big dreams where in my mind anything was possible, but I always thought anything is possible as long as I don't need to leave my comfort zone. I'm never leaving the comfort zone. And so I said no to so many opportunities just because they were very outside of my comfort zone. And also one of my biggest fears has always been to be by myself. So I always like surrounded by people, even if I don't like those people. I'd rather be surrounded by people I don't like than just be myself. So I would encourage 16-year-old Michelle to spend more time by herself, to get to know herself. And I think that she would have liked to have some certainty that things are going to change the day you start facing your fears. So maybe I would have started earlier.
Would you have showed up like, please, you wrote this book, read our book? Is that how you'd start?
Yes. I totally wrote my book just for that, Michelle. So every time someone tells me, oh, my 16-year-old daughter, she's afraid of everything, I'm like, just give her this and that's it.
Let her go. All right. So I didn't expect my time machine to go to Venezuela, so I got to fill up the gas. But now we're filled up and we're going to the future. So let's say Michelle is now its deathbed version of you. So it's long. We figured out lots of stuff, right? And now it's like you're 115 or however, wherever you are. Noah's got kids and Noah's kids have kids. But let's say you go visit that Michelle. What are you hoping to hear from that Michelle?
I hope that Michelle figure out how to also feel fulfilled just by, like just doing the things she loves without needing any kind of validation. That would be amazing. Like, because I hear that a lot. Like, you're not what people think of you, or you're not your accomplishments and things like that. But still at this point, it's like, what does that mean exactly? Like, I attach a lot of my confidence to my success. And so when I feel something's like not going according to my plan, then I feel like my confidence also starts going down the drain. So I'm like, how do you like manage that? So hoping Michelle in the future figure that out.
Well, it's sort of, first of all, very real and hard to admit, right? And there is a dopamine cue, right? When you're feeding off an audience and you're like, okay, good, you're like, good, this is landing. Like, good, there's joy here. But it's funny how you said like the 16-year-old version of yourself would have rather been surrounded by people that she may not have liked than to be alone. So it's pretty interesting that maybe success is there'll be a moment where you can just have joy in the you time, right? As much as you want to be where Noah is, or okay, that's a good question. Do you believe that, and I have a point of view on this for my family and for me, but I'm curious in yours, like in your mind, are you like, well, wherever Noah lives, I will be in that sort of perimeter geofence, not at the house maybe, but like whatever city I want to be near those babies or near him? Or are you like, or do you have another point of view on this?
Well, so I've thought a lot about this because it all goes down to values. And this is one of the main differences that I see between my family and my husband's family. So in his family, family is one of the top values, definitely even the first one. In my family, authenticity and success and like individuality is one of the top values. And so now you see the result. The result is that Adam's family, they all live in the same place. And that is even why we moved to Miami, because I was like, okay, if I'm going to have a baby, I want to have family nearby so they can help me out. And if that would have been the case with my family, it would be really hard to find a place because they're all over. Like I have family, literally, my parents are in Panama, my brother is in LA, I was in New York, like now I'm here, but each of us were trying to find our individuality and our best life and our success. And in Adam's family, it's all about the family. It doesn't matter what you want to do, it matters where the family is first. And so I can't tell you if I want to adopt that value or not, because I was raised with these other values of like, no, what's your passion? You have to pursue your passion. And if your passion is in New York, that's where you have to go. And so, and that's what helped me also become who I am, to prioritize me, to my individuality is what got me where I am today. And so that is what I want for Noah as well. And if he wants to move to Thailand, I'll definitely visit. I may be living in New York at the time, but I'll give him that flexibility 100%.
Yeah, I think my wife is more like Adam, and I'm probably more like you. And to your point, it's all about values. I'm definitely a broken record in saying how valuable are your values, right? Like, are you really living them? And optimism is my number one, creativity is my number two, courage is three, and excellence is four. And for me, I think I define excellence not like perfectionism excellence. It's more like, what does it mean to live an excellent life?
Mm-hmm.
And I am definitely of the mindset with my kids, even this podcast, it's like I'm kind of putting down a blueprint that if they so choose to accept, I'm not going to make them, right? Like, but I hope one of them at least co-lives an adventure and reports back. And I like how you said, it's as simple and as primal of, well, what are you passionate about? Have you explored all the things? You can't just take one corridor. If you can, you're super lucky. But realistically, like, explore a bunch of corridors, find out what you're passionate about, and then double down on those things and go play with those things even more. As you think about this sort of new journey into abundance, I'm curious, and it's ironic because of the topic, but is there another passion play for you that's sort of beyond, or because you're now on this abundance path, is there something else that you sort of see that you're like, no, stay me, stay in this moment, in this project, but I hear you blank. That might be something I explore later.
Not that I can think of right now. And that's also what excites me because I'm very open to the possibilities and knowing that, like I said about commitment from the beginning, like now I'm very committed to exploring that topic. And I'm excited about it because I just did a research study about it, about community. And so it's all about the impact of community in the workplace and how to use abundant leadership to create that. So companies become irreplaceable, not because they're paying you and giving you all this benefits, but because they provide you with real community. So for me, if I get to achieve that, if I get to speak at companies about this topic and see an impact and see that they can actually turn it around and create real community inside corporations, wow, I would feel like so fulfilled. And then once I'm done with that, probably there's something else I'll be interested about. I'll move on because I like change. That's also why I don't like buying expensive products because I get tired of everything. Of like, one day I love these colors, and right now I'm not sure. I'm not sure these are my colors right now. I'm already evolving, and I painted my whole wall, with this.
Wow.
It's a commitment, I'm committed. But then I'm like, okay, it's been there for 2 years. I'm ready to move on. Also, my Instagram feed, if you look at it and you scroll down, you'll see how often I change my mind. And I'm like, okay, I'm loving this color scheme. And I don't know, 5 months later, I'm asking the designer to come up with a new one because I'm tired. Yeah. So
Trust your gut, right? Trust your instinct. So this might be a short answer, but I'm curious. When I think about you and I think about your brand, I do think of fears. But before fears is the word hello, like does, and again, you just mentioned how you have this new chapter, new at least to me, on hello abundance, right? So when you think about the weight that fears gets versus the weight you hope hello gets, right? Is there, like, talk me through why hello and what that means to you. When I see hello fears in your book, right? Like I think most people probably slant over to the fears part, but hello, like, do you see hello? What's the weight that hello holds for you? Like, why is that an important word as part of your brand?
it's interesting because one 5-year-old girl one time approached me and she asked me when she saw my book and my brand, and she was like, why not goodbye fears? If you're talking about being brave, then and your brand should be named Goodbye Fears, not Hello Fears. And I was like, wow, she's really intelligent, first of all, to just come to that realization at such a young age. And it made me reflect. And what I told her, and then what I like, my conclusion is that fear will never go away. We will have to learn how to live with our fears forever, and every day you'll encounter a new fear. And sometimes fears you had in the past, you will move on, you will become brave enough and then fearless around those specific fears, and some you'll carry with you your entire life. So what if we learn how to say hello and face our fears? Because when we say goodbye, it's like turning around and giving our back to our fears, pretending they're not there. You can give your back to whatever, it would still be there. So I rather face it, right? Straight on and say hello, and then learn how to live with my fears, learn how to embrace them. That's why then not only it's hello fears, but every single chapter is called hello. Hello life, hello you, hello abundance, right? Hello society, hello everything. And it's just facing those things.
Again, I love the answer, and it's so true. We had Seth Godin on a few months ago, and like I love Seth because he's a sort of like a legend in our world. And I was trying to make, and he's a New Yorker, and I was like trying to make a New York joke because of Seinfeld and shrinkage, and I had said like, "Hey, we're in the fear shrinkage business," and he kind of immediately came back in his, and like you had said, he's like, "I don't think that's really real." He's like, "I think what's the object is to actually give your gratitude and make it bigger, and then say hello to it. Basically, I'm taking your world and his world, and it's so true. It's like you can't bury fear. In fact, when you try to suppress it, it's almost like you can never address it. You got to bring it to the surface. As you think about, well, first of all, I should say This has been such a fast show, and I'm not surprised. And I can't see my audience just not gaining energy from you. For those of you who are listening, Creetello is Creetelo. Michelle, if I wanted to learn more about your world and maybe the latest color change, or where do you want to send everybody?
I would say go to my website, michellepolar.com, to learn a little bit more about me. Right now, we are in the process of rebuilding the website, adding way more information, because right now, what you'll get is mostly the speaking side of but we're going to be adding all the parts because we've developed so much in the last year, like the community, of course, the books and all of that, but you can follow me on LinkedIn, and I'm now very active on LinkedIn. That's new for me, or even Instagram at Hello Fears.
Absolute joy to see you. If I were going to hand the keys over to you with this community, just to sort of take us home, and realistically, if people are still here, they're clearly into this convo. Maybe they are part of the podcast, they listen to it regularly, or they love your stuff, right? Or they've heard you speak. How, and again, this is called the Courageous Podcast. You see behind me, Brave What's Hard. Is there something that you want to leave the audience with?
Well, I think that I'd love for them to think, like, what's keeping them from being their authentic self, from actually showing the world their true self, their most real selves, like their most unfiltered version of themselves. What's keeping them? And then ask themselves, what's the best that can happen if I brand myself as who I want to be and not as who others expect me to be? What's the best that can happen if I start taking risks that better align to my values? What's the best that can happen if I choose to show myself as who I am? And what's the best that can happen if I don't know, if I want to, if they really commit to their projects and to who they are, and see their values as non-negotiable. That's how I see it. And that's what got me where I am. And also, I love your question about, if you were a cocktail, what are you made of? So just doing that exercise for themselves, I think, would be really valuable.
Michelle Polar, everybody, watch what she's doing. She's doing some amazing things. I feel like maybe because I just saw this, I just saw Wicked. We just took our kids to Wicked, not the movie, the
play.
Yeah, we saw the movie too, but like the play, you get both acts. Mm-hmm. And every time I talk to you, I have this feeling, like a good feeling of like, you move me, you're like a hot air balloon, but with substance. Like there's a good energy. It's all like, you can't not feel like, am I levitating a little bit after talking to Michelle? So I'm really happy to hear about your dive in on abundance. I think we need more of you. And thank you I'm just glad you're passionate about this, and like keep rolling. And you've got fans everywhere, but we're obviously rooting for you too. And stay in touch. Deal?
Yes. Thank you so much, Ryan. This has been super fun, and I loved all your questions. They're very different and out of the box, so I was not expecting them.
Yeah. A friendly reminder, we do not give our guests any questions. And mm-hmm. I'd rather just be a convo, I think that's the way it should be. Stay brave out there. Good to see you.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Courageous Podcast. If you enjoy the show, don't forget to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts so more people can find us. See you again next week.